Sometimes shin pain or shin splint pain starts at the hips. Now, I know we've been talking all this week about the feet, the calves, and now we're talking about the hips because it could be one or three of these things that are affecting you that are causing shin splint pain, stress reaction, stress fracture pain. So we need to make sure that when you are working with somebody to alleviate, prevent, improve your performance, we want to make sure we're covering all these areas, because if we're missing one, it's most likely going to come back, especially if we're missing some of the fuel stuff like we've been talking about all this week as well. So if you haven't checked any of that, check back out for the rest of the week and then come back here so you can get more things about better understanding of what we should be structuring for our hip strengthening program. And when we are doing anything for our hips, especially with trying to prevent shin or foot related issues or even knee issues, we want to make sure we're covering all the three different planes of the hip. We want to cover the sagittal plane or forward and backward direction. We want to make sure we're covering the coronal plane or the side to side plane. We want to make sure we're covering the transverse plane or the rotational aspect of the hip. So one thing that we can do that's great, especially as a starter exercise, is doing a standing hip abduction. So keeping that standing knee slightly bent, we're balancing on a toe, digging that big toe into the ground, keeping your core nice and tight, and just kicking back and out to the side, almost as if we're kicking back to 5:30 and 7:30 if we're standing in the center of a clock, making sure that we're getting nice engagement in the outside of our hips. This is going to cover that coronal plane or that side to side motion and work on the outside glute muscles of our hip. The same thing goes if we're doing the sagittal plane or we're going forward, doing single leg deadlifts. So holding a weight in our hand and going through a full range of motion in that sagittal plane or that forward backward plane. This is going to be very good in not only working our hamstrings, working on the stability of our feet and hip and core, but we're also going to really focus on that running specific mechanics, especially when we're trying to start generating force as we get to higher level specific exercise from here. The last thing that we're going to do is rotational. And some of you may argue that this is still going to be somewhat in the sagittal plane, but it's going to really expose any rotational weaknesses that we have by doing a step down or a backward lunge or a runner's lunge. And what we're going to do is really focus on not allowing that knee to drop in, controlling that knee over your toe, making sure it's staying nice and steady as we're going through a full range, especially as we start getting to higher lows and we really start going into single leg squats. So we really want to make sure that as we continue to go through any kind of recovery from shin splint issues, that we're going through all three different planes of the hip. Let us know what's your favorite exercise down below to work on your hip. Put it down in the comments below. Put any questions and concerns you have also down in the comments. Save this for later. Like and follow for more. See you then.